Today we're talking about the tension, actually more specifically an actor from the Instinctive Actors Society was asking me to talk more about the tension he was sometimes feeling in his jaw, in his neck, and in his chest. And it's actually not the first time that I, of course, hear actors talk about that tension. I've been also working with actors who get to me with specifically that problem that they want to deal with. And I totally get it. What is triggering it is that the way that the industry is happening can be stressful. So you go to an audition and you get the sides the night before and you have 5 pages and you want to get off book. That's stressful. The sides that change on a show and they send you, I don't know how many versions of the script, and you have to relearn and relearn your lines. That's stressful. You can be on set and have pressure because of time, because there's only one take and then everybody has to go to lunch. You can feel some stress when you're having a callback or a test and there's a lot of people and power in the room, and all of a sudden you're not feeling free anymore, and literally you're feeling the tension manifest itself where it shows the most, meaning in your jaw and your neck and your chest. Sometimes maybe even people mention in the heart, and they really feel that the heart is tense and it's pumping. So I get it. I get how it's triggered, and it's totally understandable that under such pressure, time pressure, stress, text pressure, well, your instrument will experience that type of tension. So before I get into this conversation, I want to let you know that I actually created a new free training that is called Stop Trying to Be Good So You Get a Chance at Being Great. And it's totally related to the topic that we're covering today. So in the title of this Facebook Live, you can click and access this training. I will also put a link for this free training in the comments so that you can have access to it and read. Basically, it covers the habits and the things you do when you're trying to be good, and the things you do and the habits you train when you're actually really great. And they're very different. So it's a real mindset shift in terms of how you approach acting. So I strongly recommend that. And now if we go back to this specific topic, I want to really actually go into another why of this tension. So the first why is because, of course, the circumstances can be stressful and pressured and difficult, and that's why there is like a chemical reaction and there is some tension that is experienced. But a deeper why that you're experiencing that, and it's totally relative to the training that I was telling you guys about, the free training that I was telling you guys about, is really that there is an intention to do it well, an intention to act the right way, an intention to be good, to be right. And that creates the tension in your instrument, because your instrument is not about that. Your instrument is about being alive. It's about feeling things, about hearing an impulse and following it. That's the nature of your instrument. That's the real version of who you are as a human being. And then on top of that, that's who you were when you were a child. On top of that, you have the education and the conditioning and the wiring that comes there, and it tells you that you're not supposed to feel a certain type of emotion, that you are supposed to do things well so that you're not punished, that you are supposed to do things as people please so that you're validated and loved back. And inside of this, of course, little by little, your instrument shrinks and becomes littler. Your instinct shrinks, and what takes over is the people pleasing, the resistance, all the mechanism that you're putting in place to fit. And normally so, because you don't really have an option when you're little and you let that happen. You drink the Kool-Aid, because if not, there's consequences, and you don't want those consequences. So it's the safest thing to do. But we flash forward, and now you're an actor, and if acting is the art of being alive, and that life has been like thrown out or taken out or stolen out or covered with a bunch of conditioning that makes you be something that you're not, the problem is that you don't have access to that instinct anymore. And therefore, what you have access to is the resistance, the tension. And at one point, if you don't take care of that, it becomes so toxic that it takes over. So the resistance that's on top of your instinct is so big that it will take over physically. Like you're saying that you're experiencing it in your jaw when you speak, in your neck, in your chest, which is like, the oxygen is flowing there, the voice is there. And I mean, most of your expression, not all of it, because you have a whole big instrument, but most of your expression comes from here, and it's constrained by the resistance, so constrained that it starts to be visible. So what to do, of course, is to start purging that excess resistance. And that's something that we do in the Resistance to Freedom program. We really spend 33 days to purge a lot of the mechanisms that have taken over your instinct, because they are toxic to a point that they take over your expression, and they show you that something is up and that you should take care of it, right? So the next thing is to actually take care of it. So you purge the toxic part of that resistance so that you can start to have your instrument back. And then you unlearn all the learned behaviors so that you can get comfortable with the impulses, with the true instinct, the things that you're feeling that are not good or bad or right or wrong. They're just human sensations. That's all it is. And it's nothing more than that. So when you can really work through the resistance and you start hearing your instinct again, well, that's when you can kind of break down what was built on top of it and build it back up. So, yeah, so those are the things that I would start doing. If you're feeling the tension, physical tension, it's for you to really realize where that's coming from. It's nothing wrong about you. It's really just that you're not in full possession of your expression and of your instrument. Something else has taken over. And yes, your instrument is telling you to do something about it because it doesn't work for you. It doesn't feel like flow, and it doesn't feel like life. It feels constrained. So it's time to start really working on that, not trying to get rid of it, but really working through that, purging the toxicity of it, and then starting to get reacquainted with all sorts of feelings and impulses that you have that are natural as a human being, that are not wrong, that are not bad, that shouldn't be like everybody else. They make you who you are. They make you unique. They make you alive. And that is what makes you interesting, is all those natural things that you're feeling that are very different from what the other person is feeling. So you don't want to try to format yourself and not feel those things anymore. You want to really get comfortable with them. And that takes some work, of course. So that is what I wanted to cover for today. Again, a good starting point would be to download this new free training about stopping to trying to be good so you have a chance at being great. And that will give you a general view of what you can start putting in place and the habits that you can ditch and the ones that you can take on to show up fully, to feel your freedom, and to not be like a prisoner of the tension that is manifesting itself in your instrument. The discussion about this, because I know a lot of actors are dealing with different kinds of tension, we can definitely take it further in the Instinctive Actors Society. So if you're not a member of the free Facebook group, the Instinctive Actors Society, I'll also put a link in the title and the comments. So you can just click to join that. And in the Facebook group, we take the discussion further. You can ask me questions about your specific situation, and I'll be happy to answer them. It's a big support group of international and instinctive actors. And so it's also a good place to start working on your instinct. Bye.